here with Cindy Bowen at Warped and Woven in the Amana Colonies. How are you?
I'm great, thank you.
All right, so we are in the store part of Warped and Woven. Tell me a little bit about how the store came to be.
So this store was renovated a few years ago. They renovated the entire complex, and we wanted the sales room to be right beside the Woolen Mill. So this was originally the blacksmith millwright shop where they would make parts and pieces for the antiquated looms that they first had when they came over from Germany.
Oh, wow. So then it's just a natural progression of what all the work you guys do. Everything in here is made next door?
Anything that has an Amana sewn on label is what we do here.
Okay, and how long has this place been open?
We are just a little past 2 years here.
Nice. But the actual factory part of it, how long has it been active?
Oh, the factory's been around since 1857.
Never closed, never a day off,
No, we've Monday through Friday. Currently, we have 4 people that work in the mill, and we have a production manager, Julia. She's great. And from there, we bring the finished goods over to the sales room.
And how's it gone now that you have this space to do your retail sales? Has that improved it? Has it changed how you guys do things? How's it created innovation for you all?
This has been really nice. It continues the story of the Amana people here. We gladly tell the blacksmith millwright story along with being a sales room for our Amana Woolen Mill. And we are also located by Hotel Millwright, and those were the original finishing buildings for the Woolen Mill. So we have a lot of history in a small area here.
So this is awesome. This is where they put all of the threads together.
Yes, this is the warping creel, and this is the start to our blankets. This warping creel holds 240 cones, and according to the pattern of the blanket, she puts the colors of the cones of yarn onto each of the cones and goes down one end and then comes back and does the other side. As you can see down there, the 240 threads go together into what looks like a big comb.
Yeah.
Just to keep the threads straight.
That is fantastic. So how many blankets would these cones, do you have any idea of
Well,
how many you would get out of just this?
So we call them cuts is what they're called, and depending on how many blankets of each style we want to do, generally one cut is 30 blankets.
Okay.
We try to do 2 cuts. We're a small mill. That would be 60 blankets, depending on what you're making.
Before you change out the pattern or
right.
change out the...
Right. Some patterns can take up to 6 to 8 hours
Wow.
for one blanket.
Yeah.
So we try to make good use of our time.
Nice.
putting
And so
together.
when it's going, are all of these moving too as the thread comes off, or do they kind of stay?
Well, the yarn just pulls off to the end, so the cones themselves do not
Don't
turn.
turn.
But when you're here, when they do a warp, it sounds like a whisper.
Okay.
So it's a very, very neat experience.
Yeah. Well, I'm partial to these colors too, and I love what it looks like down there when it all comes together, and that's fantastic.
Yeah. So if we can walk down, I can show you where it goes through, actually 3 combs. So it goes down to a little narrow path, and that's what all of these threads go to. And so we can walk down to the end
Let's
here.
go. Okay, so do you purchase the yarn then, or do you make that too?
So all of our yarn comes from the Carolinas. This is our cotton
Okay,
yarn.
okay.
And each of these cones are approximately 5 pounds. So people will say to us, how many yards are on here? Well, we don't really get them by yards. We get them by poundage. And generally, we order them in about 300, 500 or more pounds
Wow.
per color.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is the cornflower blue, which may be the next blanket that's going up.
Yeah.
So over here,
And it
yep,
looks
these are
beautiful
some
when
new
you put 'em on.
blankets here. These actually are some recycled yarn
Oh,
blankets
very
that we
cool.
just finished. This will be the Amana Parks series.
Okay.
And so these blankets are woven with 100% cotton yarn and recycled yarn.
That's fantastic. And then are the colors significant, or just what you feel like putting together, or
Well, we have a think tank that gets together.
Okay.
There's a group of us that come up with ideas and patterns, and then we actually work collectively to pick out colors and then choose generally about 3 colorways for each style, depending on the blanket. These are throws. They'll be about 60 inches by 80 inches. These will be.
And then how much would these sell for?
These will sell for about $80, 85 to 100, depending on the size of the blanket.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Once you see all the work that goes into it, you understand.
It's exactly. So this is the working creel itself, seeing a little bit different version of it. But the threads come down and go through a large comb, and as you see, they go under and then over the rollers, then go to a medium comb, and then to a smaller comb. And the width of that there is the width on the creel. And Susie takes it around so many revolutions. She knows how many revolutions it takes. And then she cuts that off, and as you see, she twists and ties underneath.
Yeah.
And then she'll move the warping wheel, and she'll do it again. This is a bed blanket, so it takes 2 of these to make the bed blankets.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I just love how you, like, there's all of those things, and they all come down, and then it ends up, this is the width.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, this is one of the original warping wheels that we have here in the Amana Woolen Mill. So,
It's great.
it's
I
amazing.
mean, has it been in use since you've had it? It's never just sat.
Nope, it's never sat. It's
It's
always
always
been
been
used.
used.
Yes.
That's
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. So,
is.
so then this gets all of these, this here, the yarn that's on the warping wheel, goes on to a loom beam. Loom beam is smaller, and it actually gets attached here.
Okay.
You see the machine there, it comes over here, and all of those yarns get taken off and put onto a loom beam. From the loom beam, it goes onto the trolley, and the trolley takes it around, and then it gets tied in to the previous yarn on the loom.
Okay.
So from this section, it comes over here, and I'll show you, this is a bed blanket here,
Wow.
and that's the finished product. But on the back side, you can see what it looks like when we start. 2 loom beams. So
That is,
pretty
wow.
amazing. So
It is.
each loom beam holds about 1,140 threads. So of course your bed blanket, 2,280 threads or more,
Right.
depending on what we need.
Yeah.
So this is the bed blanket, and then over here we have the smaller looms, and over here we do the throw size. So 50 by 70. We can do a little bit wider on these. This is the buffalo check, or some people call it the Rob Roy.
Okay.
Black and red check, and on the back side, this is what it looks like before it gets woven.
How cool is that?
Yeah, so that's the Rob Roy. Each of our Sulzer looms are from Switzerland, and they are punch cards. So the machines read a punch card, and that tells the harnesses when to lift and when to drop, and what weave and pattern they need.
That is awesome. And so this is the batting?
These are the loom beams.
Okay, so this is what that looks like before, without the yarn on.
Right, so this would be the loom beam, just like what's there with the Rob Roy yarn, the red and the black.
And then I see some of the blankets have like lamb's wool on the back, and is that's over here. I'm
So
assuming.
those are called stadium blankets.
Okay.
And we do those, we do them year round, but we sell most of them, of course, in the winter. Once they're woven, they get put onto a paper tube, and from the paper tube, Sean, our weave technician, will write a little note on there, how many yards or how many blankets is on there. From there, it goes on to this big table here, quality control. It gets pulled out, they inspect the blanket, and after it's been inspected, they take a scissor and cut them apart.
Wow.
So it's all hand done. Yeah. So the big machine there that you see, that is a napper. Nappers are used to lift the fibers and make them softer.
And then is the lamb's wool sourced locally, or is that come
It's a
from?
local product from the United States here. We purchase it and bring it in. Totally different product from what we do. It's more of a knitted product, actually.
Okay, very cool.
Mhm. From this area here, it's kind of a one big circle. They come over here and they will serge the blankets on the serging machine. They'll cut off the salvages. And from that machine, then they stay stitch above the fringe to make sure that it's nice and tight. You don't have to worry about anything coming undone while washed. Our blankets are very durable. And then from there, if they're hemmed, it goes to the double needle hemming machine. And from that machine to the end, that's where the labels get sewn on.
That is fantastic. And I mean, just keeping your history going, but also a product that is never going to go away, right? You're always going to need a blanket.
That's correct.
Someone is always going to be cold.
Yep. And I will say they're made to last, and yeah, they last a long, long time.
Fall is coming, so keep this place in mind when you're ready for your next blanket.
So what do you think 50 years from now will be the story that they're telling about this complex? Do you think it'll be the same story? Do you think it'll still be going?
I think it'll be the same story. We work real hard to produce quality blankets and products, and I think we will carry on that tradition right here for many, many years to come.
Is it, obviously your clientele probably skews any age, but like your workforce, is it, older people that have sort of that sewing, like threading, clothing background? Like what's the idea, like 10, 20 years down the road? What does that look like? Does it look like more automation? How does you think it changes?
Well, I would imagine it'll still be the same type, where it'll be a hands-on people. We bring people in and train them, and we teach the craft right here. We do a lot of hand sewing, and even if the seamstress is in the sewing room that produces the dish towels and the placemats and runners, it's something that we work with everybody so that we continue consistently the same quality product.
Oh, really?
Okay, so is it something like, do you do internships? How do you train more people to do this stuff? Because it's not something like I know, so like I could come learn how to do this.
So currently we are looking for a loom tech to work side by side with Sean, who weaves and takes care of our looms. It's something that we would train people to do. The gals that finished the blankets, these girls all had a sewing background of some type, and then brought them in and trained them on our machines, which are pretty similar to a domestic machine. And honestly, in our sewing room where we produce the accessories, those are domestic machines, so it's very easy to bring somebody in and train.
So tell people how to find you.
Well, we are located, we stay at the bottom of the loop. So you come into main Amana, go down the main street, take the first fork in the road, and that fork leads you right to the Amana Woolen Mill. Warped and Woven is to the left of the big red brick building.
And are you online anywhere? Like, how can they find you if they want to plan a trip?
Sure. If you want to plan a trip, you can go to www.amanawoolenmill.com, and that will show you the products that we have, and also will give you the address, so that you can enter the address in 794 48th Avenue in Amana, Iowa.
Perfect. Well, thanks for your time today.
Thank you.
How cool is this place?
I know, especially the place where they make everything. Holy crap.
I mean, that's craftsmanship.
Yeah.
And that is still 5 people work there. All these blankets come from, and everything comes from 5 people working over there.
Monday through Friday is when they do it, but they have all the stores worth, and they have like a part-time seamstress and embroider that could do some of this stuff. Like, that's amazing. And they still use like the old school machines like this.
Right. And she said there's only like 4 or 5 places left in the country that do this kind of thing, on this scale especially. And how fun is it right here in the middle of Iowa?
Well, and she was talking about how they use the history of the place, like the blacksmith, the millwright, the hotel. Everything blends together, and as it's continued to develop, they develop. So now they're not all in one building. They have their production facility, they have their sales facility, they have their hotel facility.
Right.
Like, they're using all the space possible and expanding in smart but historically accurate ways.
Right, right. And you can get a tour. It's not just me and Derek. Anyone can get a tour over there Monday through Friday to, I think you have to call ahead, but you might as well if
If you're going to be here,
you're gonna
it's
be here,
well worth it.
Go do the tour just to see all the threads that come through.
It's really more impressive than it shows on camera with all those thousands of threads coming together to make a blanket. Like, the video really doesn't show you just how cool it is and how intricate the work is, even when it's done by machines, and some of it's still done by hand.
Yeah, Yeah. So we are definitely recommending this book.
Yes, definitely make this part of your Amana's trip to come by Work Removal.